your Raj Yoga is yoga. And yoga is about thoughts and feelings. And when you guys are using your vivid imaginations negatively, then you are having thoughts and feelings, are you not? Strong thoughts and feelings, no?
Yeah.
So you must all have very strong imaginations, even if you're misusing your imagination.
Mm.
And so what happens, as everything else that you misuse, it was very interesting, this chit chat, because it was like I was asking Baba, why are they struggling in yoga? And he says, because they don't understand what yoga is or how to do yoga, or nor do they necessarily want to. That's what he told. So then I said, but how do we get them to start practicing? And he says, well, first change their understanding. Maybe you have to explain it differently or in a way you haven't explained it. And I don't think I haven't totally explained this, but so I remember, and I'm sure some of you have asked yourself this question, although I don't think many of you have asked me. I think one person, I can't remember when it was, asked me this question in their Brahmin life. But one of the first questions I asked my seniors was, in hearing all these wonderful experiences of the subtle regions before I ever had any, is, well, what's the difference between that and imagination? And they answered it very lamely, I felt, because at the end of the answer, I didn't feel I had any better understanding of what the hell's going on in yoga. Because when you ask that question in that way, you're presuming that imagination is a negative thing. Oh, it's only imagination, right? That's kind of how you guys feel. And the reason you feel that way is why?
Because I've used it that way negatively.
You don't think it's real.
Because you don't think it's real. Oh, I'm just imagining it in my mind. Well, your thoughts are in your mind, right? Why are they not real? So one of the problems you have is you're blaming your inability to have a subtle regions experience, but it's because you lack faith in your capacity to create pure thoughts and feelings. But instead of dealing with why you repeatedly create negative thoughts and feelings, then you conclude, well, I'm not capable of creating pure thoughts and feelings, which is a lie. You blame your lack of yoga on, well, I don't know how to have a true experience. All I've ever had is just my imagination. Does that sum up pretty much where you guys are at when you're stuck in yoga? Hands up if that makes sense to you, to describe what you lack in your experiences of yoga. Because to me, you're suffering from boredom in yoga. Because you don't trust yourself to create pure thoughts and feelings. Therefore, you don't use your imagination that you need as a starting point to visualize and create a yoga experience. Now, I'm adding way more words in the explanation that was given to me. But what I concluded was that at least I need to start with my imagination. What am I capable of visualizing as the basis of a pure experience exchange between myself and Baba? We already know you have love for Baba. We already know Baba has love for you. So do you have perfect love? No. Do you have faith in that love? No. But you are capable of loving feelings for Baba, and you are capable of feeling Baba's love and feelings for you. So what you're not doing is experimenting with your own mind, which is a sign of why when I asked that question of how many of you believe you have a vivid imagination, so many of you did not put up your hands when it's not possible. In the very least, you would know the stuff you're suppressing inside yourself, damage, pain, sorrow, suffering, is an overactive imagination that has scared you to death from what your own mind and intellect could create. So you shut them down. You don't let them create anything because you're afraid of what they might create, which is what happens when you can't control your
Feelings.
thoughts and feelings. It's understandable, right? But you've done this to yourselves and you have to undo it, or you're never going to fly in yoga. Anyway, so my experience was I was sitting down after Baba explained that to me, and it was really funny. Just this thought came in my mind. So I had this idea that I want to fly to Baba. And Karlbai actually came in my mind this morning because I was saying, Baba, Karlbai has a pilot's license, right? You have a license, right? So he had to learn how to fly a plane. And you always say we can fly a plane to the subtle regions in the plane of our intellect. So I said, okay, so let's fly to you. And so I visualized myself in a cockpit, but it was, of course, a cockpit of light. Everything was light, shining white light. And it had instrument panels and buttons and things. And I don't even know what they are. I just, like a little kid, was pretending that I was moving things to get the plane ready. Right. And, I'd say, as if I had a co-pilot, Baba, and I say, okay, flaps, and I don't know too many things. What are the different controls? I wish I knew more, then I could admit it. Okay, so anyway, I was calling out these things, making up words as if I was actually able to fly a plane, and Baba saying check, 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 and I go okay, and then I start moving the throttle higher and higher, and I can, hear the noiseless engine getting stronger. And I start to move, and I start moving faster, and I start leaving the ground. And I did this purposely, knowing that you actually do all this in 1 second, but I wanted to visualize something to sort of watch my mind slowly engaging in this experience based on every word that I thought that I was creating in my mind about the process. So I was just using that as a metaphor. You could use anything. You could use a hot air balloon. You could, whatever. Okay. So anyway, so I'm taking off and I'm flying, and I just start soaring higher and higher. And as I'm soaring higher and higher, the sky is, getting so light because it's daytime, and light and light and light. And so eventually it just starts becoming bright white. And then the next thing I know, I've left the cockpit and I'm in front of Baptara. I'm getting drishti, right? So I'm heading up there with the aim that I want to get drishti and have this wonderful experience with Baba. Anyway, I broke it down just so that I could see the effect of this thing I'm creating in my mind. And then I reached there, and then I didn't have any thoughts when I reached there, but it was when I came back, then I started to analyze it. And I realized, oh, that's the correct use of imagination because it got me to Baba. And the line I remembered from Daddy's class was, she used to tell us repeatedly, and you'll remember this, that we all suffered from a lazy intellect. You remember that, Kate? Daddy would always say, you have a lazy intellect.
Yeah.
And that's what you guys are suffering from, a lazy intellect. It's not accidental. Lack of yoga is due to a lazy intellect. You don't want to take the time to concentrate your thoughts into pure thoughts, which you need to access pure feelings. If they're ordinary thoughts, you don't access pure feelings. You don't actually you don't get off the ground. You're just like on a runway driving on wheels, but you don't go anywhere upwards. And so your lazy intellect is what's making you not engage your imagination to create such experiences, right? Now that makes it interesting. Oh, I'm going to fly a plane today. And so you're very alert and you're awake and you're focused and you're engaged. You could do it anything. It could be a rocket, could be your flying bird flapping your wing. It doesn't matter. But the reason why you don't trust your imagination and just say, oh, it's imagination, is because you don't want to have to examine the things that you're missing or don't have control over in your sanskars that will create your thoughts and feelings that would make them pure. So instead of dealing with that, which is a dharana problem, you blame your intellect and say, oh, I can't get off the ground. I can't fly, right? And consequently, you resign yourself to that, and your intellect, due to laziness, gets weaker, and your imagination becomes ordinary, right? So when I first learned about subtle regions, I said same words. I said, what's the difference between that and imagination? And what is the subtle regions? What is the experience of the subtle regions, and how do you get there?
Through pure thought.
Pure thoughts and feelings, no?
Yeah.
So how do you access your thoughts and feelings? Isn't it with your imagination?
Yeah.
You imagine something, and your thoughts and feelings, you imagine something with your intellect, and your thoughts and feelings emerge. So how can imagination not be used in yoga? Does this make sense to anybody? Did you already understand this, or when you're stuck, you just forget it? Because that's all you got to do to fly again. This is why artists are capable of creating good yoga experiences, right? I take many Logic things I've seen from movies, and you start off as scenarios, not Tamil pretend things, obviously, but start off from scenarios of what it would take to make me fly. Like one time I did the Marvel superhero thing, donning my costume, putting on my superhero costume so I could fly to Baba. You just got to get creative, right? And the sky's the limit. There's no limitation, but you don't do this because you're bored with your own mind. And that's what you suffer from. Laziness makes you bored. Logic is ordinary. It's boring, right? Except that what you have to imagine has to be something pure. You can't be in an ordinary cockpit. And it can't be extraordinary unless you're there with Baba, or at least in the company of your elevated aim to be with Baba. Both will work, right? But if you come in flat and you have no aim to be in yoga, then you'll just sit there, grounded, right? And you'll have no experience, and then you get bored like that. And then little by little, you're using up your energy. And especially if you do a lot of service like this center does, you'll get tired. But the seed of that is not what other people are doing, because you heard the classes on Baba and Pardarshan, Parchintan, Parmat. The seed of that is your lazy intellect that prevents you from connecting to Baba so that you could draw power no matter how tired you were. Not that you're not tired. That is the method, to tire out so much that you feel your body, so that you have to overcome that with powerful thoughts and feelings. That is exactly what's supposed to happen, except you're only getting yourselves tired, and not due to lazy intellect, creating thoughts and feelings. And so you're using yoga, whether you fall asleep directly or not, you're using yoga to sleep or to rest your body in a deep state of unconsciousness. And that is what you're doing. Otherwise, you would be happily flying.